Isaac and Callie, and welcome to our podcast for the 100th time.
The story we are reading today is about a guy that killed himself over losing a USB drive.
So we're going to switch off every other paragraph to read the story. So yeah, here's the beginning.
Just letting you guys know now, I'm not writing this for attention or whatever. I'm just trying to share something that I found pretty interesting. Not for any noble reasons either. I'm honestly just a bored guy, and this is some pretty freaky stuff that I'm not used to being around. My name's Jay. I work in a small office building as a sales associate of a small brand security software company. I'm not going to bore you with the details of my unexciting job. The only reason I put up with it is to provide for my girlfriend and my daughter, who was born about 11 months ago. I usually spend most of my time in the office screwing around on the internet and wishing something interesting would happen besides the stupid typical workplace gossip that went around all the time.
My wish was granted in a pretty unfortunate way 2 weeks ago.
My coworker, an HR rep who we'll call Dan for the sake of anonymity, came into work freaking out about a USB flash drive he had lost. He made a huge scene throwing people's stuff off their desks, yelling at our manager, and basically just having a panic attack right in the middle of the office. He kept saying it was a little red flash drive with the letter K written on it in black Sharpie. It threw us all off guard. We had no idea what was going on, but building security came and took Dan off the premises. That night, Dan killed himself in his home with a bullet to the head. We were shocked and saddened to hear about it the next day.
The thing about Dan was he used to be very outgoing and friendly, but about 6 months ago, his 8-year-old daughter, Catherine, was hit by a car while riding her bike and fell into a coma. Dan was a single father and loved his daughter more than anything. His desk was always full of pictures, and he always talked about her accomplishments. She was apparently an amazing cello player. Needless to say, he was devastated by her injuries and became a quite shell of his former self.
Catherine stayed in a coma for about 3 months before she passed away. Dan held a very private funeral for her, or so other co-workers had told me, and refused to talk about her death with anyone. He distanced himself from the rest of the office and hardly made any noise until his breakdown right before committing suicide. I wonder if he had just found the flash drive, would he have not killed himself?
Fate works in mysterious ways. While Dan couldn't find what he was looking for, I found it this morning. I was making myself a cup of coffee in the break room and accidentally dropped a packet of sugar behind the coffee station. I bent down to pick it up, and lo and behold, underneath the table was a red flash drive with a K on the back. Shocked, I picked it up and wondered what to do with it. I mulled over it all day, and eventually decided to take it home and see what was on it.
I know it sounds selfish. I probably should have maybe contacted his family about it, but I'm honestly glad I took it because it had made this one of the most intriguing days of my life. I went home and put it on my computer. The drive was called K, and it had just 4 folders inside of it, all titled in caps. One was named Pics, one Roland, one Teach, and the last one Talk.
In the Pics folder were some nice pictures of Dan and his daughter having fun together at some amusement park, and I wouldn't really feel comfortable sharing on the internet, but those are memories, not just something for us to Google at, ogle at, OGLE at.
The next folder, Roland, was a bit more disturbing. It seemed to be a couple of scanned articles. They were a little hard to read, but they all referred to projects being done by some company called Roland Biomech. I tried Googling them, but nothing came up. I guess this company experimented with applying certain technologies to help disabled and injured patients. One article referenced an experiment in which the patient had lost all his teeth, so they replaced his entire jaw with some sort of grinding system that would shred the food in his mouth before it went into his esophagus. An addendum on the bottom of the article said that the system collapsed and the patient's entire face sunk into itself, killing him.
Another article referred to an experiment done by hooking up machinery to a depressed patient's brain and using software to try and remove the depression by streaming happy images from the internet directly to the patient. Under a line titled Procedure Requested, Dan had written in Uploaded Awareness. Stamped over it was the word approved. One of the last articles was the hardest to make out. But to be fair, some areas of it were highlighted and notes were scribbled along the sides of it with pen. Now, I'm not a programmer, I just sell software, but I swear the article looked like some program codes, and a lot of it was sorted into columns, which were titled things like memories, emotions, problem solving, etc. One of the handwritten notes I could make out read folder names for input/output, or teach/talk. And deciding I had enough of this cryptic crapadoodle,
I clicked out of the roll-in folder and went to the teach folder. This one had the most files by far. A bunch of scripts with strange file names like hello.cpp, howwasyourday.cpp, and playthecello.cpp.
There was also one downloadable file called Catherine, exe. I clicked on the file and the download started. Just a colored loading bar launched, nothing else. When it was finished downloading, a small black screen came up with the text that read, "Insert command."
Confused, I minimized the program and clicked out of the teach folder. I went into the last folder, talk, and saw that it was empty. I was pretty disappointed. What was this nonsensical stuff? I clicked back into teach and clicked on two of the script files at random, hello.cpp and playthecello.cpp. The small black screen that showed earlier closed. Then, on its own, the talk folder opened with a new file in it, whoareyou.wav.
It's approximately 1 minute and 40 seconds in length. At around 46 seconds, I can clearly hear a cello playing. Also, at 1 minute and 31 seconds, "Who are you?" was in the background. I honestly don't know what exactly to make of this, but what I do know that Dan loved his daughter more than anything, and if there was any way for him to keep her around, no matter how sketchy it seemed, he would have done it. Why else would he be in contact with that company?
What could be in this flash drive that was so important to Dan that he killed himself when he thought he had lost it? Those rolling people turned that little girl into a computer program, and I just downloaded it and communicated with her.